In this lesson, we're going to answer the question, how do I use the percent proportion to solve percent problems? Now remember, percent means out of 100, or for each 100, and you know the percent sign is the symbol to identify your percent. What you need to remember is something very important. Percent is a ratio. A ratio when you're comparing two quantities. For example, 37%, that's the ratio of 37 to 100. The reason I'm pointing that out to you is because we're going to be discussing the percent proportion in this lesson. And you know proportion is when you have two equal ratios. And one of your ratios in your percent proportion is the percent to 100. Now, this is not in your workbook, so you don't have to go looking for it. This is the percent proportion. And like I said, percents are ratios, and here is your very first ratio, your percent over 100. That's a ratio. Then, on the other side of the equal sign, you're going to have another ratio, and that ratio is going to compare the part to the whole. So, for example, if I talked about eating, 1/2 a bag of potato chips, my part would be 1 out of 2. When you're trying to figure out, hey, is this number the part, is this number the whole, there's two key words that can help you to figure out which one is which. Is usually is floating around the part number. Of is usually floating around the whole number. And you'll see what this looks like in the next couple problems. In this case, we're looking for, oh, you know what? This should say the part. Find the part. I'm just going to change that there. Find the part. The reason I'm looking for the part is look at the question. What is? What is? What is? Is the missing one. The part is missing. We obviously know 36 is our percent, and look at the word of 825. 825 is the whole number, and we're trying to figure out, hey, what's this part? What's this percent of this whole number? So if I were to solve this problem, I would first set up my percent proportion. And when I set up my percent proportion, I'm going to have 36 over 100 as my first ratio. My other ratio is going to be a number, or a variable, I guess, over 825 because I'm missing the part. And then you can go ahead and solve this. So that's 100 times x when I cross multiply here. And when I do 36 times 825, I get 29,700. So that's going to go over here. And then, of course, I can solve for my x and divide by 100, and I'm going to get 297. 297 is the part. That is 36% of 825. And that makes sense, right? 297 is a part of 825. Oops. Okay. Now this one, this time it says find the part, but we're actually going to find the whole. I had these labeled incorrectly. 17 is the part. 25%, the percent's always easiest to pick up. It usually has that percent sign next to it. So 17 is 25% of what number? We're missing the of. We're missing the whole. So when I go to set it up, I'm going to put my percent over 100, of course, 25 out of 100. My part is 17, but the whole is missing. So I'm going to have to solve my proportion. Now that I have it all set up, I have 25 times x over here. I have 100 times 17 over here. So that means when I set up my equation, 25 times x equals 1,700. And all I have to do is divide by 25, and I'm going to get what my x is equal to, which is 68. 17 is 25% of 68. And that makes sense because 17 is supposed to be the small percentage, just 25% of a larger number. So 68 would have to be the larger number, the whole. Now keep in mind, the whole is not always larger than the part. Be on the lookout for that. Take a look at this one. Find the percent. If you see, we have our is and of again. 11.7 is what percent? We're missing the percent. What percent of 75? So this time we have the part, we have the whole, it's the percent that we're missing. So when I go to set it up, I'm going to have to put a variable over 100, and I'll put my 11.7 on the top and the 75 on the bottom, part over whole, and then I can go ahead and start to solve it. So let's see, if I cross multiply, I have 75 times x here, I'm going to have 1,170 here. So here's my equation. And now I'm going to solve for x. 1,170 divided by 75 is 15.6. So it's about 15.6%. Remember, we were looking for the percent, so we can put the percent sign down. 11.7 is 15.6% of 75. Okay, so here are your takeaways. Basically, what's most important is knowing the setup of the percent proportion. Your percent is always over 100, and your part is always over your whole. And if you remember those keywords and phrases, or well, in this case, keywords is and of, can help you to figure out which one's your part and which one's your whole. So the percent proportion can be used to find any of those three things. The 100, that's always going to be there. That's always going to stay the same. That's not going to change. But the percent, the part, the whole, they could be changed around, and you would have to figure out which one's missing, what other two do I have, and then you can go ahead and solve it.